I feel like the officiating in this area, it gets worse season after season after season. In 10 years' time, they'll be rewarding penalties for eye contact. If you make eye contact with the striker, penalty. It's crazy, but Milan won. Lazio 2, Milan drop to 9th in the Serie A. Milan are having their worst season of the 21st century, and I'll be honest with you guys, it's true when they say when it rains, it pours, because I feel like that game, it had everything. It had drama, it had wrong decisions, it had players failing to perform under pressure, a manager failing to step up under pressure, a fan base that's annoyed. Actually, you know what? Annoyed is not even the right word. A fan base that's angry, infuriated. A fan base that's had enough of the owners. A fan base that's probably had enough of the players. A fan base that's grown up watching their beloved club compete for Scudells, win Scudells, compete for Champions Leagues, win Champions Leagues, have some of the best talents across the world, and now they're going into the game watching their team and telling themselves, this isn't Milan. But let's just touch on the game real briefly. Lazio, they go 1-0 up. Now, when I look at this goal, I'm looking at Theo Hernandez and I'm telling myself, why is Marusic, the right back for Lazio, why is he outpacing you? Why is he outmuscling you? Why has he got more hunger and determination to get into the opposition box and get a strike on goal than you, the defender, to defend your own box, to prevent the opposition from scoring? I watched this clip back like 50 times and I'm just seeing Theo Hernandez jog back, and I'm looking at the Lazio right back who's sprinted from his own half to get into Milan's box, have a shot on goal. The rebound falls to Zaccagni and he makes it 1-0. Now Milan, they fought. Did they create opportunities? No, not really. But the game-changing moment, and it's only right we speak about it, came on the 56th minute. Now you can see Joao Felix. I will touch on the Joao Felix substitution later on. But Joao Felix, who didn't start the game, but he was on the pitch on the 56th minute. He's in the box. Now, football, it's a contact sport. You're allowed to be physical. You're allowed to go shoulder to shoulder. This wasn't shoulder to shoulder. If anything, this was shoulder to back. Shoulder to back. That is a penalty. Let's just put it like this. Shoulder to back, anywhere across the pitch, would be a foul. If it happened 50 yards away from goal, if it happened on the halfway line, if it happened in Milan's own half, this would be a free kick. So why is it not a free kick when now it's in the opposition box? And the outcome would be a penalty. I saw that decision and I was like, you know what? Milan have got a lifeline. Milan are getting out of jail. The referee doesn't give the penalty. It's criminal. It's the wrong decision. I feel like it's just incompetence. It really, 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 really is. And I feel like why Milan fans will now be frustrated is because they're sat watching the game and they're thinking, okay, cool. You didn't give us the penalty. So why are you giving Lazio the penalty? Anyways, that penalty for me was the game-changing moment. The penalty doesn't get given. Milan, they keep fighting, they keep trying to get opportunities. The same old Milan, they get the ball in the final third. They're not decisive, they're not accurate with their passes. Passes are consistently being underhit, overhit. Players are making the wrong decisions. Players are just picking up the ball and running into traffic when they've got teammates around them, trying to do the one-man show. Milan couldn't score, but in the dying minutes, Rafa Leao gets the ball out of his feet, puts it on a plate for Chukwueze coming off the bench, and I'll be honest, lovely header. At the back post, unmarked, open, puts it into the top corner. 1-1. And I was sat telling myself, 1-1. 5 minutes to go. Maybe 4 or 5 minutes of added time. Time to rally the troops. Milan know the importance of winning this game, especially when you remember what happened before the game. Now, the Curva the Milan Ultras, they decided to boycott the first 15 minutes of the game. Why? Because they're angry. They're furious. They're looking at their club and telling themselves, this isn't the club that I truly support. This isn't the club that I support. They're chanting Cardinale, you must sell. And I feel like they've followed and supported the team throughout the entire season. And they're now sat telling themselves, our season is over. And we've just started March. We can't compete for the Scudetto. We can't compete for the Champions League. All that's left is domestic cups. And since when does any Milan fan look at a domestic cup and tell themselves, that's a good season? No! Champions League, Scudetto, that's what this club is used to competing and winning. And I feel like when you look at this entire season, it's just the perfect way to break it down is when you fail to prepare, prepare to fail. You look at the recruitment, how players were signed in the summer, but every single one of them was open to being sold in January. What does that tell you about the recruitment? Going for some cheaper options when it comes to players, when it comes to the manager. When you look at the overall squad building, when you look at the harmony, the motivation in the camp, it all stems from upstairs. I feel like sometimes people might watch a game of football and say it's the manager's tactics or the players aren't good enough. Listen, a football club, we only see what's happening on the pitch. But I can guarantee you guys, internally, upstairs, if it's a mess and it's chaos, don't be surprised if that chaos falls onto the pitch. And that's the best way to describe Milan. But anyways, it goes 1-1. This, for me, is a criminal decision. It really, 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 really is. Now, the thing that I found so chaotic was the fact that Milan were seconds away from winning the game. Rafa Leao, he overhit the pass to Santi Jimenez. Reinders gets onto the ball. I had no idea what he was doing in the final third, trying to flick it over the defender. You've got the ball in a shooting area. Put your foot through the ball. You've got the talent. You've got the quality. Grasp the opportunity. Once again, Milan players overdoing it in the dying minutes. Lazio go on the attack. They catch them on the counter. Now, this is a criminal decision, mainly because when Isaacson runs onto the ball, before he even collides with Mike Maignan, you could see, before he even collides, the ball's going out of play. So let's just look at it like this. Let's just say Mike Maignan wasn't there and the collision doesn't happen. That touch takes him out of play. The touch was too heavy. There was no way in hell. Like even, and I'll be real, when you look at Mike Maignan, he went into it because he committed to the ball. If you commit to the ball, you are going to collide with the player. But did he collide with the player when the ball was at his own 2 feet? No, the ball was gone. The ball was practically gone out of play. And when I saw it, I was like, there's no way in hell they give a penalty to this. But welcome to the Serie A. Welcome to the Serie A. And that decision, it shocked me, but it didn't shock me because I've seen these decisions given all over Italian football. Incompetence, a lack of knowledge, referees just reading off a script. Reading off a script. When a player makes contact, penalty. But when a player gets barged into the back, no penalty. So it was the wrong decision. I look at it and I'm thinking Mike Maignan went for the ball. He didn't get the ball, but of course he's going to collide with the player. But he didn't collide with the player when he was in a goal-scoring area. The ball was gone. The ball was gone. It's like it was a collision that happened when the ball was out of play. It isn't a penalty, but listen, I always say, don't leave the game to chance. That's one thing that I've always been taught from playing football, from watching football. Never ever leave the game to chance, because what happens nowadays is you could lose a game from a simple lapse of concentration. You can lose the game from a wrong referee decision. Milan at home, San Siro, you know what had happened prior, and this was public knowledge way before the game that there was going to be a protest. The fans are angry, they're unhappy. I feel like this would have been the perfect game for the players to step up and tell the fans, we know what's going on upstairs is a shit show, but it's got nothing to do with us. We are going to give you 110%. And I can't say any player on that pitch gave 110%. And it's disappointing on so many different accounts. But I look at Sergio Conceição and I say, there were rumours across the week that said if he lost to Lazio, he would be sacked. And I think there's some truth to it. Now, let me explain. Joao Felix doesn't start the game. Now, before the game, I saw the starting 11 and I was like, this is spot on. This is bang on the money. This is a manager that's now put 1 and 2 together and told himself, Joao Felix, new recruit, new signing. Yes, he's talented, but he's been very ineffective. He's been very inefficient. But him being ineffective and inefficient is now holding back Milan's 2 best players of the season in Pulisic and Reinders. In a must-win game against a team that's also competing for European football, let me roll the dice, because as a manager, you get paid to roll the dice. You get paid to tweak your starting 11. You get paid to find weaknesses in the opposition. You get paid to get the best out of your best players. Let me just repeat that. As a manager, you don't just get judged of style of play, of trophies, of results. You also get judged of whether or not you can get the best out of your best players. Sergio Conceição walked into this team. Pulisic and Reinders were Milan's two best players. Yet ever since he's walked in, he struggled to get anything out of them. And in my opinion, it's the inclusion of Joao Felix because he occupies a zone that these two players have targeted and flourished in throughout the season. But this is where I looked at Sergio Conceição and I said, you are under pressure and you're feeling the pressure. Milan, they go 1-0 down, 36 minutes. Joao Felix enters the pitch. No injury to Yunus Musa. A tactical change. And I was just sat telling myself, fair enough. The first 36 minutes, they weren't amazing, but keep going. Persevere. This team will pick up in the second half. Don't make a change that you know has hindered this team in the past 4-5 games. And even when you look towards the end of the game with Jovic coming on, Milan ended the game with just one centre-half on the field. This was a manager that threw the whole kitchen sink at the game because I feel like he knows. He's under pressure. And I feel like when you look at a board, no board will ever step up and say, we're doing the wrong job. But what they look for is a scapegoat. Somebody for them to turn around and say, hey, he's to blame. This is why the season failed, because of him. And I feel like they're now looking at Sergio Conceição and they're looking at the reports. They're looking at the camp. They're looking at the harmony. They're looking at the motivation within the team. They're looking at the fact that some players are, once again, not really seeing eye to eye with him. He's not really getting the best out of some players. He is the perfect scapegoat. Pin the season's failure in the second half on him. Because the first half of the season was pinned on Paulo Fonseca. But at the end of the day, who recruits these managers? The board. But for me, I saw Sergio Conceição. He looked like a man that was nervous. He looked like a man that knew his job was on the line. And it's crazy if he was to be sacked. Because what does it mean? Milan, 3 different managers in one season? Like, come on, guys. 3 different managers, but the same board. There's only one common denominator. There's only one common denominator. And that's why I understand when the fans were chanting, Cardinale, you have to sell. Why Zlatan Ibrahimovic gets the abuse. I get it. It all makes sense. But Milan have lost a game that now pushes them further down in the Serie A table. And as wild as it may sound, the season is practically over. Maybe winning a Coppa Italia, beating Inter over 2 legs, going on to win another trophy. It might just leave like a sweet taste in some Milan fans' mouths. But in reality, you go into the season, you haven't prepared. You haven't built the squad to the best of your ability, to the best of your caliber. This is a team, this is an institution that has money. They can spend, but they've gone for the cheaper options in managers, in players. Season being over in March, when this is practically now the business end. Like, this is the period where the top teams step up. They tell themselves, our season starts in March. Because now it's the business end of the Champions League. Now it's the business end of the domestic cups, of the domestic league. For Milan to be now sat telling themselves, our season is done in March. It's criminal. It's criminal because this is a giant of European football. This is a giant of Italian football that's showcasing to the whole world. Poor recruitment, poor management at board level, wrong decisions being made on a consistent basis will hinder the team on the pitch regardless of the talent that you have available. Now, if you're new, make sure to subscribe, make sure to hit the like button, make sure to let me know what you think in the comments, and I will catch you guys on another one.